If you know me, then you know advocacy work is a big part of who I am as a person and a big part of the future practice that I like to lead or be a part of in the future. So let's talk about it. How can you, as a medical student, as an incoming third year medical student, and even as a first or second year, advocate for your patient appropriately? Because on rotations, that is one of the favorite words that are used. Appropriate for your level, appropriate for the stage that you are in. And how can you continue to put the patient first, right? I have a few tips. I have a few things to say about it. Hey y'all, welcome back to Made It to Medicine with Vix. That is me, and I am a third year medical student at the University of Illinois College of Medicine. If you're new here, welcome. Be sure to hit the like button, the subscribe button, drop me a comment down below. And if you're returning, hey family, what's up? I try to drop weekly videos talking about my pre-med term med school life and a little bit of everything in between. On last week's video, someone made a comment and asked if I had any tips or any ways for them to advocate for their patients as they are starting their third year rotations. So I know that when we hear the word advocacy or advocate, sometimes it goes to like this grand, or one could think of it as a grand project or a grand scheme, like policy work, which is advocacy, or social justice work, which is also advocacy, or seeing that a patient is in the waiting area and they are by themselves and they have difficulty walking, and you go out there and ask if they would like some assistance. Whether that assistance is holding your arm while walking back to the exam room, whether that assistance is holding the door for them, or whether that assistance is just being patient, allowing them to take their time with their commute. So these are small ways, which seem small to you, but make a difference in someone's life and how you can advocate for them. I'll tell you a story about when I was on my family medicine rotation. First of all, that was my very first rotation. I was extremely nervous because friends had told me, starting with family or internal medicine or even peds at this rate, they're very good because it's kind of like all encompassing. But on the same token, they're very hard because they're all encompassing. There's so much information that you have to know. There are so many different ways that you're pulled in. So for me, I wasn't even aware that on family you see kids. Like, I mean, I know you saw children, but my first patient was a newborn baby. And I quickly learned that family medicine doctors also do obstetrics, like they can deliver babies without having completed a fellowship to do C-sections. But like literally in every single family medicine program, you are required to deliver at least, I believe it's 20 deliveries. And just things I did not know, me being ignorant as a third year or even as a medical student. There are so many things I find out every single day. Like, I could fill the world with the knowledge that I lack. That is okay. I am open to learning, adjusting, and growing daily. So something that a resident, once I had read my family medicine evaluations, had said on the evaluations was, I'm paraphrasing here because I don't have my computer with me at the moment, but that Vicky does a great job with connecting with her patients and building a rapport. One patient in particular had transportation issues and they were waiting for their transport to come, but they were also hard of hearing. And so Vicky took the time to walk with the patient to the waiting area, talk to the receptionist about scheduling their ride for pickup, and then sitting with the patient until their ride came. To me, I would expect someone to do that for my grandparents. Well, my grandma now, if she were to go to the doctor's office by herself, it's just like my parents always say, it's nice to be nice. It's kind to be kind. And I didn't even think of it. I wasn't doing it because of an evaluation. I wasn't doing it because I thought that the resident was watching me, because truth be told, I didn't think that she was watching, and I just was like, hey, I'm gonna go take this patient out because I see that they're having some mobility difficulties. They said, okay, cool. And I did it. I don't do what I do for accolades. I don't do what I do to be rewarded or acknowledged for it, but because these are real life humans. This is someone's real life, and this is someone's grandparent. This is someone's possible spouse or parent, aunt, uncle, family member, loved one, friend, coworker. This is a human, and human beings deserve to be treated with, recording outside is crazy. Human beings deserve to be treated with kindness. So that's one way that you can advocate for your patients. And another way is if you see that, because typically as a third year medical student, you're going to be first one going into the room. You're going to be the first point of contact depending on what site you're at and how much freedom or flexibility that you have. For me, I always ask like, hey, can I go into the room first and see the patients? And if it wasn't a busy day, I actually got to see every single patient that was on our schedule, and I would see them first. So that consisted of me going home the night before and pre-charting, which is, because people love to say these things, they don't explain what they are, because I was like, what is pre-charting? I don't really know. But that is just going through the patient's chart, seeing what the visit is about. So let's say someone's coming in for physical exam and or let's say hypertension management. So I will go back to see when was the last time they had labs, did they get a lipid panel, what was their blood pressure the last time they were here. And then I started learning the flow of the visits, asking like, oh, do you have a blood pressure cuff at home? How often do you take your readings? Do you write the readings down? And if you have them with you, can you share the readings with me? And do you have any problem with getting access to your medication, whether that's financially or physically getting to the pharmacy? Just really checking in on the barriers to health. And physicians can get busy at times, and not saying that they are ill intent and they don't want to see the best in their patient, because I haven't worked with a physician like that at all, but they do have a lot more on their mind. And so the beauty of working with medical students, sometimes we get so like granular and get down to the minutia of things that we hyper focus in. So sometimes that's problematic because we narrow in on a differential diagnosis. But when it comes to things like that with a patient, I might ask all these questions that the resident or the attending just simply doesn't have time to ask, but that's a way of me advocating. And if everything is normal, I'll report it during my patient presentation. Jane Doe is 60 years old with a past medical history of hypertension, diabetes, hyperlipidemia, and they're presenting today for hypertension refill medication, like medication management or medication refill, something to that extent. Then I go into things that they've said. They have continued to take their blood pressure readings at home, or they actually used to take their readings at home, but their blood pressure cuff no longer works. And I asked, were they interested in purchasing a new one? They said they didn't have any money for it. So I'm wondering, do we have any blood pressure cuffs here that have been donated? Things like that, because sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So if I know that my physician told me that I should be taking my blood pressure daily, but my cuff broke and it costs $20 to replace the cuff, I don't have $20, but I still want to take the readings. But what do I do? Sometimes people don't even think to ask, do you have one? It never hurts to ask, but sometimes it's just not a question that comes up. So these are ways for you as a medical student to advocate for your patient. I worked at a federally qualified health clinic, so everything there was half off. If you were to get it from their pharmacy or CVS or Walgreens, you're getting it at a 50% reduced rate. And sometimes when patients still couldn't afford it, the doctors had some, in the closet or in the back somewhere. They're like, okay, well, you can take this one home. And just looking of ways to decrease the barriers to health, and always just being open and not casting judgment on people. Working at a federally qualified health clinic, I also got to see patients who were navigating addiction to different means or different substances. And I remember having a patient who wanted methadone to get clean from using drugs. And I'm not sure if anyone had ever taken the time to ask the patient, what happened? How did things get started? And it was because of something happened with their family. And although I have yet to do my psychiatry rotation, it was some psych issues going on or some psych difficulties going on. And I sat there and I dug a little deeper. Would you be interested in talking to a therapist or a counselor? We have one on site. They may or may not be able to talk to you directly today, but if not, if they're no longer here today, we'll be able to set up a telehealth visit for you. So I guess the biggest thing that I could say is kind of pay attention to your surroundings. Pay attention to what's going on around you, and kind of do your research on what type of resources are offered by your clinic, by your hospital, whatever your site is. And then ask the residents. Residents are, in my opinion, for the most part, are very, very helpful. And even attending. Sometimes I just didn't really like to bother the attending because they have more on their plate, because they have to see every single patient that a student or a resident sees, just to, cross their T's and dot their I's. But be aware of the resources that are available for the community and for the patients that you're seeing. and that is advocacy. Like literally, if you know that there is a food pantry that is in the neighborhood and the hours of operation, let them know about that, because food insecurity is real. If you know if there are local farmers markets, because where I'm from or where I'm at, you can use EBT, link cards at the farmers markets, or at least at some of them. And some people aren't aware of that, because I wasn't aware of that. As a medical student, I have link. And I thought that I couldn't participate in farmers markets because I'm like, this stuff can get expensive, because of course, things that are healthy cost more. And this is why certain populations live in food deserts, as I grew up in one. And things get difficult for you and you want to do better, you want to be better, but you don't know. And I personally think it's kind of harmful to just tell people diet and exercise. Well, what is that? Because diet is, first of all, it's lifestyle changes. It's not diet, because diet sounds like a fad. If I do it for about a month, then my life will be perfect and I could go back to my previous eating habits. But it's a lifestyle change. And as a medical student, I don't know about you at your school or wherever you all are in your phase of the journey, we don't really talk about nutrition as much. So I know personally, I probably don't eat the best as I should at all. But then that's when you ask, like, do we have a nutritionist on staff? Is there a nutritionist that will be covered by their insurance that can actually speak to them about specific ways of how to change? And because I never want to make that assumption that people are just like, they're just trifling and they don't want to do anything, and limiting someone to the lack of access that they have, or limiting someone to their environment or the societal stigma that they've been placed in. Most people want to do better, but they don't know how to do better. And just telling someone to improve their diet and exercise, I'm sorry, that's not specific enough, at least not for this type A person. I need to know in what ways should I improve it. Is it the DASH diet? Is it, or DASH lifestyle? Is it, does walking around my block at a strolling pace count as exercise? Or do I need to break a sweat? Or do I need to increase my heart rate? Or must I get on a treadmill? Or must I get in a swimming pool? Like, be as specific as you can, and always like ask the patient what they expect to get out of this visit. Sometimes you may not have all that time, but I had plenty of clinic days where I only had 8 patients, 4 in the morning, 4 in the afternoon. So I had plenty of time to just sit down with the patient, connect with them, and see what it was that they wanted to gain. Because to me, in my opinion, the biggest part of advocacy is not being a dictator, but seeing exactly the ways of which or in which that your patient wants to proceed, and how you and them can work together on the journey to reaching whatever goals that they have. And if that goal is 1 day a week, I'm not going to drink pop. 1 day a week, I'm not going to eat fried foods. That is a measurable and attainable goal. You know, hit those SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable. What is it, reasonable and timely? Something like that. I had to learn this for my master of public health. It's been a while, but I do agree with SMART goals, like small steps, baby steps. You know, Sha'Carri didn't just wake up one day and make it to the Olympics. Baby steps to get there, and then you pick up the pace once you find your footing. So if there are any other specific questions that you have on different ways that you can advocate, like honestly, I guess if I had to say, then 3 things: be a good listener. Like, number 1, listen to your patient. Number 2, find out the resources that are offered at your site and how they could, how your patient can benefit from it. And number 3, always remember that this is a partnership. No matter how much you want to help somebody, you have to see what their goals are, and then you align with them. Don't ever try to put something on someone or then start getting an attitude when they don't live up to your expectations, because again, this is their real life. And it is important to ask about the other facets of their lives to see what's going on and what is presenting itself as a barrier in their life. And just, you know, just continue to be happy to be here. Like, I'm more than halfway done my 3rd year and I'm still happy to be here. First 2 years sucked. I did not like them. Being in the classroom is not for me. I'm definitely an application type of girl. I learn by doing, and I've done so much so far, and I still have so much more to learn, but I'm eager to stay on this journey to be in partnership with others. I hope y'all got something good out of this video, and I'm probably gonna go back and watch it once I jump back into these rotations, and I'll see y'all next week. Bye.